Okay, guys, this is a story of a survivor of narcissistic abuse. This is a very tough story. This lady's name is Sue. Sue, I want to thank you for having the courage to share your truth, and I hope that these videos, because this will probably be 2 videos, because I want to go very in depth into many topics that you bring up in your emails to me. I hope that this brings you a ton of healing, opens many doors for you in your healing, and brings you relief and peace that you've been wanting for so long. I understand how hard this is to share, but by you doing this is the biggest step that you can do besides physically leaving a narcissistic abuser. This is the biggest step you can take in your freedom, because just getting away physically and then being afraid of them for the rest of your lives and having to watch our attitudes, actions, thoughts, behaviors, words, because of the programming, the traumatic programming and abuse that they placed on us, is not true freedom. So you've taken the first step in physically leaving this person, and now this is just as big a step in the reclamation of your freedom and your wholeness. So again, I thank you. I hope your story not only helps you, but many other people who ever hears your story. I hope our truths are so relatable. There's millions, if not probably billions and billions of us on this earth that have suffered from these narcissistic abusers in our own ways. And but narcissistic abuse is narcissistic abuse. So without further ado, let's get into this. Sue sent me some emails. We've been emailing back and forth for the past few days. And so you're going to see her progression as this went. Her initial email to me started as follows. Hi, Richard. I follow you on YouTube. I just wanted to ask, when you say we need to heal, do you mean if someone has been through abuse or trauma, etc. in their life, or when they were a child? When I say healing needs to be done, that is healing from the programs, healing from the abusive programs and traumatic programs and non-human programs and programs that are non-conducive to biological life that we've been indoctrinated and programmed with ever since we were little children. I mean, we need to heal from our education system. We need to heal from our government. We need to heal from our relationships that hold us down like crabs in a barrel. We need to heal from our work. We need to heal from our attachments to this fake monetary system. We need to heal from our attachments to the physical. We need to heal from the programming of the lack, that we're not enough, that we need to prove ourselves, that we need to work in order to deserve anything. We need to heal from the programming that told us that we need a home and shelter and food to put in our bellies and a balanced diet and nutrition and clothing and new clothes and all that society puts on us. We need to heal from all of that. We need to heal from our abuse from our parents who brought us into these slavery systems and named, numbered, and cataloged us into them. We need to heal from the fact that we've never lived correctly. We need to heal from all of these things. So you guys, just that way I'm clear, because Sue's been following me for a while now. And she finally got a hold of me and asked me this question. So I want it to be made clear to everybody else out there. When I say heal, you need to heal from everything. And when I go through your story here, Sue, I don't just mean that you need to heal from your narcissistic abuser. There's so many other layers to this that need to be addressed to this healing, because when we play in, see this whole system, this whole matrix that we live in of consumption and needing things and desire and fear and lack and all and worry and all of that is all part of the matrix system. And narcissism is the big mechanism that keeps the wheels moving. It's the wheel of the machine. And so we can pull away from that, but if we're still consuming, entertainment, if we're still consuming poisonous foods, if we're still poisoning ourselves, if we're still running off of a lack program, if we're still running off of a program that makes us think that we need all of these things outside of ourselves, that's still feeding into this matrix system. So you might be getting away from greasing the wheels by getting away from your narcissist, but now you're in the engine bay feeding the coal into the fire and keeping that machine running, if that makes sense, guys. So when I say heal, we need to heal from everything. Everything about this system, your whole history that they fed you is a complete 100% lie. It's all scripted, narrated, and spoon-fed to us. It's that way it keeps us trapped in this slave box in our minds, thinking that we came from monkeys, or we came from a big bang, or we came from this or that, and that, we've slowly progressed, and then we discovered the wheel, and then we did this, and then with civilizations and societies and all that. It's all a construct. It's all a lie. It's a 100% lie. We are eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, empathic souls connected to everything on that level of existence, occupying the most advanced biological thing on this earth. We are so much more. We have been lied to, bamboozled, and denigrated to these slavery positions, and it's up to us to heal from it, which means we have to detach, quit giving these things our attention, our time, our energy, our focus, put all that on us and do all the healing, detaching and realizing we need nothing outside of ourselves. So that's what I mean by healing. Or do you mean we need to heal from this shit world we unfortunately have to live in, all of it? I had a good childhood, although my parents divorced when I was 3. That's not a good childhood. We got to stop saying I had a good childhood. No, you did not. You did not. Your parents named, numbered, and cataloged you. Your name is Sue. They named, numbered, and cataloged you. This narcissistic abuse that I'm getting ready to go into is all a result of your parents' parenting. That's not good upbringing. That's not a good childhood. Okay? You didn't just by chance and circumstance fall into this bad relationship we're getting ready to get into. It didn't just happen like that. It all came from a subconscious program from your childhood that allowed you to even be put into that position. Because an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, empathic soul occupying the most advanced biological thing on this earth is not going to get into a over 3-decade-long narcissistic relationship and allow themselves to be abused. So we have to understand that. These are the fundamentals that we have to come to terms with, that we have to understand. So my mom brought, and by the way, I'm guessing that she's British or English, because she says mum instead of mom, and you'll see as we go along. So my mom brought 4 of us up on her own. Dad didn't do much for us. So, did you see how you went straight from a good childhood to all of a sudden now your dad wasn't involved? Okay? These things are not natural. These things are toxic. They affect us. The reason we think they don't, and we had a good childhood because we weren't physically, sexually abused or, crazily abused in any way, is because that's what society's made normal. Society has hoodwinked us, and this matrix has hoodwinked us into thinking that abuse is only sexual assault against a woman, physical violence, like if I came up and punched you in your face, or terrorist actions. Abuse simply means misuse. As soon as each one of us are born into this world, we are abused because our parents allow the state to put heavy toxic metals into our veins, and they name, number, and catalog us into slavery systems. Guys, we got to get to the root. We have to get to the fundamentals and stop this insanity. And the only way to stop it is with 100% truth. We all visited him when we got older, though, and we didn't hold a grudge against him. but mom gave everything she could. Yeah, and that's fine. Again, that's just all that is survival. We can't accept survival and say that is good. That's not good. It's survival. Okay? We can't accept our parents telling us they did the best they could for us. Because we're gaslighting ourselves. What we're doing is we're gaslighting ourselves. And when we do that, we subconsciously do it to others. We subconsciously pass that gaslighting down to our own children. Okay? It doesn't just by us just being meek and timid and accepting our fate and just going along to get along and not trying to complain about anything. That's not helping anybody, especially ourselves, but and also anybody else around us. We have to make a stand. We have to be honest. We have to be truthful. We have to be courageous, and we have to call things for what they are. We have to quit playing these games. We have to quit playing the Matrix games. We have to break away from all that programming, because that programming has us shutting up and thinking that we're crazy for even speaking out about our abuse. And you'll see what I'm saying as we go along in these emails. I've recently been through a horrible divorce, November 2021 through June 2023. And as a consequence of this, my kids, 2 boys who are now 23 and 19, don't and won't speak to me at all, have cut me off. The younger one hasn't spoken to me since June 2022, and the older one stopped communicating with me in June 2023. He was actually very, very verbally abusive to me throughout the divorce. He even texted me once and called me a cunt. I've tried and tried with them, though, but they won't get in touch, and they have blocked me on their phones. So now there's no contact at all for 1 to 2 years. They don't even know where I live now. Good. Good. It's time to move on, Sue. Your husband, we're going to get into this, guys. You're going to see her husband program these young children and program them to hate their mother. Okay? Her husband, you're going to see how disgusting and evil of a narcissistic abuser, a mental and emotional and spiritual abuser he was to her, and how he got those 2 children to turn against her. So your heart is hurting. You want to love your kids, but you have to understand that attachment you have to your children, that is a trauma bond. We cannot be eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, empathic souls occupying the most biological thing on this earth and voluntarily submit ourselves to being abused like this. It doesn't work like that. Your children are old enough. They cut you off, good. Cut them off. It's up to you to cut them off, because now your husband is working. This is how narcissists work. Your husband is working through them to even suck even more energy out of you, to suck even more time, energy, focus, and attention out of you that you should be focusing on yourself to heal. And he is using them as a proxy of his narcissism, as a front man for his narcissism. That way it keeps that bound to you. You need to get away from them. You need to break everything from them. You need to give them up. True love is not clinging. True love is not holding on to them. True love is letting them go, because you have to love yourself first. You can't even love them. What you think is love, Sue, is not even love. It's a trauma bond. It's this evil survival shit that happens to us as abused people, that we cling on to these people who abuse us. That's all it is. That's all it is, Sue. We can call it motherly instinct and a mother's love. Fathers love their children just I had to break those bonds with my children. I know how this works. It's very obvious. When you step back and you're completely honest about everything, you get down to the root of the issue, these things are very simple to understand, Sue. But you have to step back. You have to step away from living in the past. You have to step away from your emotional connections. Those emotional connections are all part of the survival that keeps us in survival instinct and survival, the ego character. Your true, authentic self it has to love itself first. And if that's the case, when you learn how to love yourself, you won't accept that from anybody else. I do think their vile father has poisoned them against me, though, because when I told him it was over, he made it impossible for me to carry on living in the family home. I had no money, no savings. He made it that way throughout our relationship. And I ended up sleeping on the floor in the lounge because he wouldn't give up the bedroom. And he told me to go and live with my mother, which I did. I had to, after 3 weeks of living in that horrible situation. He would also verbally abuse me at every opportunity he could whilst I was still trying to live there. Calling me names in front of the kids. He did this for many years anyways. So then the kids would join in with him and say to me, "Why do you keep coming back? You want to leave, so just go." And that you've split the family up, etc., etc. It's very obvious. Very obvious that is horrible, terrible, nasty, disgusting abuse. You have to understand that by continuing to be attached to these people, so that you allowing your story to come out, I hope this makes so much more sense. Someone speaking this out to you. This is wrong for anybody to go through. More or less a mother or a father being treated like that by their children. More or less a spouse being treated like that by their significant other. This is nothing. This isn't even a relationship. This is a narcissistic relationship. This is a predator-prey relationship. Your husband has been feeding off of you since day one. And he got those kids, he programmed and bamboozled those children into becoming predators as well. Your children are dangerous people. Your children are not good people. You need to break that bond. It is a trauma bond. Now, if you need more insight into these types of things, I've recommended only one other person because, he spends his life doing this. Patrick Tehan on YouTube. I sometimes post because he does his community posts where he writes things out, types things out. He does like a daily thing of that, and every once in a while I'll put it on my community post. But I don't watch him anymore. I don't pay attention to anybody anymore because even Patrick is only about getting away from your narcissistic abuser. He's still all about this world and the music and the entertainment and the distractions and the money and all that. So he's only healing on one level, but when it comes to that level of narcissistic abuse, he's very good. He's very good at like making things very clear how things are abusive. My advice to everybody is this kind of contact here, just person-to-person contact. See, there's thousands of people on his YouTube page that are just like addicted to childhood healing, like they've been doing it for decades. I'm like, it doesn't take decades to heal from childhood abuse. This doesn't take decades. This doesn't take decades to heal from narcissistic abuse. These are people who want to belong to a group. These are people who are not doing, that's what I'm trying to say. Just healing your childhood trauma, just healing from narcissistic abuse trauma, just healing from one trauma and not the other, not pulling away and detaching from this whole system that's traumatic, is still feeding into traumatic systems. And that's why people can never heal. That's why alcoholics are constantly, they can be sober for 30 years and then they go back to the bottle. Because they haven't done the true deep and gotten to the root of the issue. You have to get to the root to the issue. Everything else is avoidance. When the COVID scam arrived in 2020, I was on Twitter at the time, and thankfully, I got a lot of info that it was bullshit, etc. And it really did wake me up. I was never a sheep, though, and I always thought throughout my life that things didn't add up, and I always questioned how this shit world was ran. Good for you. Good for you, and good for all of us who look around and question things and don't just believe the fucking narrative like a sheep, like an idiot, like a fool, just listening to these idiots say whatever, tell us whatever they want to say and just following along with them. So good for you for thinking for yourself. But I do often wonder, especially now I'm on my own, which I love. I was with my husband from 1983 to 2021. That's a long time, guys. That's 38 years. Almost 4 decades. That it's strange how I woke up to the BS and I woke up to the shit of my husband. For years and years, he controlled me, called me names and the kids. So not only did he call her names, he fucked with the kids too. Because see, what these narcissists have to have chaos around them. They love control, and it's controlled chaos to them because they control it all. They're like the master puppeteers. They know exactly what to say. They know how they know how to trigger people. They know how to get people going. They know how to talk behind people's backs and get people not to say anything and stir things up. They're master manipulators. They live for this because this is where they get their life energy from. Us good people, we get our life energy from hearing these stories of healing. We get our healing energy from truth. We get our healing energy from thinking critically. We get our healing energy from the reality. These narcissists get their healing energy from the entertainment and from the lies of politics and the lies of government and the lies of education and the lies of this system and the lies of that system. And they love these industries and all of the pharma industry and the food industry and all of these toxic, poisonous industries that are killing us all because they want destruction. These people have so much deep down pain inside of them that it's like a cancer and it needs to be fed. It's like their cancer needs to be fed. Otherwise, it drives them crazy. So they live off the negativity. They live off that bad energy. They live off that low vibration and they got to have it all the time. It's like a drug to them. It acts just like a drug because it sends chemicals to their brain and they're addicted to it. Just like a heroin addict is addicted to that chemical. Just like a crack addict is addicted to that chemical. These narcissists are addicted to the chemical rush they get when they cause this uproar and this chaos around them. They are addicted to that. They live off that. Okay? For years and years he controlled me, called me names and the kids, wouldn't let me have my own debit bank card for years because I'd got into 5,000. I don't know what Lear is. That Lear? I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I don't know if you guys can see that right there. 5,000 euros or Lears. I'm not sure what that is. In debt years before. So he went ballistic at the time and he made me get a job to pay it off, which I did, cleaning jobs. And it took me 3 years to pay it off. Now, and then I carried on the cleaning work for another 9 years after that. But he would say to me, that's not a proper job, etc., etc. I brought the kids up while he went to work. He was a narcissist, blamed me for most things, etc., etc. Long story. Well, Sue, good for you. That you got it. Now you have to look at these things and see how strong you are. Okay, you made it through almost 40 years of being abused by this cocksucker. All right, you made it through 40 years of that shit, and you were still able to hold your head up. You're still able to get a job in between that. Not only raise your kids while you could be there full time, but then to get a job and pay off a debt because he never gave you any money, right? So you look at take all of these examples and just use them as a testament to the strength that you have. Now take that strength and now that you're away from him and freaking use it for your own good, for your own healing, because this healing is difficult. This healing is no joke. When after you listen to these videos I'm telling you, it's going to open up doors and it's going to give you a rush, and you got to be able to keep yourself level and medium, and because there's going to be tons of things that you're going to have to work through now in your life. And you're going to have to take your time, and you're going to have to take the attention and the focus and the energy and put it on yourself now. And all that strength that you put into surviving under this shit, you are now going to have to use that on yourself, because you are going to have to come to terms that you are worth it. You are the most precious, important thing on this fucking earth, period. Nothing outside of you matters. You need to take care of yourself now. What I'm trying to say is I've been through a horrendous time because of him. When she said horrendous time, she said the divorce. But you got to recognize your whole fucking past 38 years with him was horrendous. And God knows what happened in your childhood that you're not even able to recall, because you buried these things so deeply that you haven't come to terms with. I have never regretted leaving him, but I can't seem to get over the kids not wanting to know me. I've cried so much over them because I miss them so much. That's a trauma bond. That is a trauma bond, Sue. You need to free yourself from that. You have to. You are the only one that can free yourself from that. That attachment you have, and you might as well cut them off and not even look at them. Family is a structure. You did not choose to come to your parents. Your kids did not choose to come to you and your husband. You guys forced them. You had sex. You had a good time. You came. You got your nut off, and you had kids. That's it. That you are not bound to your parents, just like your kids are not bound to you. And you, now that this has transpired in this way and your kids are grown adults, you are not tied to them anymore. You have to break that connection. Emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, physically, in every way, every way, you have to break that connection to them. Because until you do, they are eating that energy from you. Even though you don't have physical contact with them, they are sucking that energy out of you, Sue. And every time they fucking talk shit about you behind your back now, and every time you worry about them and think about them and they're like, oh, I love them so much, you're feeding them energy. And it does nothing for them. It does nothing for you. They're sucking energy from you. That is not a good, healthy relationship. That is a narcissistic energy transference to abusers. And you are being a willing and consenting victim. You need to get out of victimhood and you need to become a survivor. A survivor takes personal responsibility, which you're doing now. You're sharing your story. It takes personal responsibility, is discipline. Now you got to be disciplined in your healing and in your focus and energy and attention on yourself and detaching from these things. It is courageous and honest. You're displaying courage, honesty, and you're taking personal responsibility by allowing your story to get out. Now you have to do and be that strong person who is able to suck it up and get a cleaning job and raise these abusive kids and raise and take care of this abusive husband and be in a nasty, disgusting, energetic, negative, toxic energy household for 40 years. Now you need to take that and put it on you. You have to prove to yourself that you're worthy. You have to prove to yourself that you care about yourself. You have to prove to yourself that you love yourself. And the best way to do that is to sit your ass down in the quiet where nobody else is, look in a mirror, conduct yourself, sit up straight, look straight in your damn eyes in the mirror and say, Sue, I love you. I love you, Sue. You are the most special person on earth, Sue. You are the only person that matters, Sue. You are an incredibly strong woman, Sue. You've gotten through this far. 40 years of just terrible abuse. Sue, there are things that we need to take care of. I haven't been the proper adult for us, Sue, because I love us. I do. Deep down, I love us, Sue. I care about us. That's why I'm still here. And I want to fix these things, Sue. I want to heal. I want us to be one. I want to stop the confusion and the fear. I want to get rid of this lack, desire, and worry, Sue. I want to take care of us properly. That pain that you went through, Sue, when you were a little girl, I want to help. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to be the proper adult now. I'm going to take care. I'm going to take my personal responsibility, and I'm going to be disciplined. And I'm going to display my courage and honesty, Sue, for us. And that's what you got to say to yourself in the mirror and see if you can even say, like I said, when I first did that a year ago, I started bawling. I went, Richard, I couldn't even get I love you out. This is no joke. This is how it happens. This is how your healing works. You have to do these things. What I'm trying to say is I've been through a horrendous time divorced because of him. I have never regretted leaving him, but I can't seem to get over the kids not wanting to know me. I've cried so much over them because I miss them so much. You got to get rid of that. He basically couldn't accept I didn't love him anymore. Of course he couldn't. That's how they get their energy. That's how the narcissist gets their energy, your attachment to them. The predator makes the prey think that they need them in order to survive. And then they slowly feed off them for the rest of their life. And the prey thanks them, oh, thank you for, because every once in a while the predator will throw them crumbs to keep them going. And we thank our predators, we thank our abusers, we thank our narcissists. Thank you, narcissist, for those crumbs you threw me. I'll try better for you. I'll do better for you, narcissist. He basically couldn't accept I didn't love him anymore. So because the kids stayed in the family home with him, not out of choice, though he thinks it is. And that's an interesting thing there, Sue. That's something to think about. He's poisoned them against me, yes. But I found it very, very hard to get over they won't speak to me. I've had times where I wish I wasn't here, especially since waking up and knowing how this shithole earth is run. Because we are literally living in hell, aren't we? You know exactly what I mean, don't you? Yes, I do. I do know what you mean. And times that you wish you weren't here, but you are here. You are here. And like I said, nothing, no matter what you're thinking right now, nothing changes the fact that you are the most special thing on this earth. Nothing changes the fact that you are an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, empathic soul occupying the most advanced biological thing on this earth. Nothing changes that fact, Sue. You have to come to terms with that. And the only way to come to terms with that is by healing and detaching from this stuff. And you're doing it right now. I've recently had to get a full-time job. I haven't had an office job for 23 years. And it does help my mental health, so I'm just seeing it as that. I'm not materialistic anymore, so when you mention on your videos about detaching ourselves from the system, etc., I have been doing this since 2020. I don't participate in all that shit anymore, and I don't watch TV. Good for you. Good for you. Just know, again, we can't just settle that for oh, well, I don't do this, this, and this, but I still do this, this, and this. This is a complete overhaul of our life, a complete overhaul of our programming. We are crushing the old programming. In order to fully heal, we have to crush the whole programming. Like I said, I mean, you can go on Patrick T. Hands, and all he talks about is healing from narcissistic abuse, from actual like parent or parental abuse and spouse abuse. But he doesn't even address all the other types of abuse. And you see all of the people who are tied in and addicted to that type of healing that have been doing it for years and years and years. And they're still healing because they aren't addressing the deep root of the issue. They are refusing to look around. Like you just said, you look around, you see that we're in a shit slave world. So they're refusing to address everything. And they're refusing to understand who we are. We have to understand our innate being and essence and who we are. Otherwise, why care? Why would we care? We literally are just surviving. And so then we just do whatever we have to do to survive out our days, however long they are. And then what do we care if we poison ourselves with drugs, alcohol, toxic foods and chemicals? Who cares? No. Why do we care? We care because innately we know that we shouldn't be poisoning ourselves. But because we were brought into these toxic environments and societies, we've just normalized distraction and dopamine hits and taking our minds off things because we don't want to face them. So until we turn around and have the courage to face these demons, until we have the courage to pull that monster out from under the bed and bitch slap him around and tell him what's up, we are going to forever live in their shadow and be afraid of them and live on their program. I love your videos. I find myself agreeing with you, and I know exactly what you mean. I'm crap at expressing myself. So don't stop making your videos because you really do inspire people. I hope you... Okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut her off. She's got a lot more here, actually, that we're getting into, and I want to be able to cover it all. So I sent her a text back, or an email back. I'm not going to read my emails because they're just too long. I wonder if I should split this into 3. What is that, 34 minutes? Yeah, I think I'm going to split this into 3, guys. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll read my email to her, and then I'll pick up on part 2 of this. That'll be a good idea. So I emailed her back. Sue, thanks for reaching out. Very glad you shared. What you went through is a terrible thing to have experienced, and it definitely needs to be fully processed and healed from. So much to unpack here. Would you mind if I made a video reading your email and giving my feedback? With something like this, it can really help with the healing to get validation and hear your story told. Others who have shared their stories that I have done videos on found it to really help them introspect and examine fully and process everything. Just having experienced such abuse for so many years and having the courage to break free finally, I'm guessing you waited as long as you could until your kids grew up, is such a story of survival that deserves to be told. It is a testament to your strength and courage. If you would rather me not share, I understand. I am laying down for bed now and want to reread your email in the morning with a fresh mind before I respond or make a video, so I'll wait to hear back from you on how to proceed. And just to clarify, when I say heal, I mean everything needs to be processed. I will go into that further as well. Thank you again for sharing your story of abuse. From one human to another, I am very sorry you went through such suffering, and am wishing you the peace that will come with healing and processing thoroughly such a confusing and painful experience. And guys, that's why it's so important we share our stories. And I'm going to end this video with, please, if you haven't shared your story yet, please be courageous. Guys, this is not only going to open tons of doors for your healing, and I mean catapult your healing. If you think you've been healing for years and years and years and years, and you're just not getting anywhere, and you're still dealing with these emotional issues and these ties and these bonds to these people, and feeling like you have to live in fear of them, you need to come out and tell your story. Because that's going to give you the courage. That alone, sharing your story and getting your truth out there, is going to give you courage to take the proper steps. Because we are not supposed to be living in fear. We are not here to live in fear. Our soul occupying this most advanced biological thing on this earth is not meant ever, not one day, not one moment, to live in fear. Fear is a construct that got put into us by our parents. That is how we learned how to be fearful, from our parents. Okay? So keep that in mind. That's part of the programming. Guys, please leave your comments for Sue. We got, this is probably going to be 2 more videos. I'm trying to touch on everything very deeply because I know this is not, this applies to millions and billions of us who all have had some type of experience where we can relate to this kind of abuse. And in her next emails, she goes much more in depth on these things. So remember, guys, take care of yourselves. Nobody else will.